Hey everybody, Harry here from 420 MSP, and we're going around the horn with our periodic check-in with our analysts and contributors with Marc Haskelson out of New York, the Compliancy Group. Marc, how are you?
I'm very good. How you doing, Harry?
Good, good. It's still a little bit early out here on the West Coast, so I'm having my coffee with my Springer Spaniel mug. Speaking of mug, always like to have a personal comment or two up front. You had a heat wave? Did you just go through a heat wave?
Yes, we did. It was mighty toasty on the Northeast. We were mid-90s, hot and humid.
Oh man, well, at least you're inside working. So, hey, Marc, this month I want to talk about PCI, of course, compliancy, but PCI in the cannabis space, and you have a background in that area. So, what's the 411 on PCI in the cannabis space, sir?
Well, so unfortunately, as we all know, because of the RICO Act and the classification, the money can't be moved across state lines. But remember, the Card Interchange Association, which controls PCI, is a private organization. They're not a federal organization, so they do have the right to do what they want.
Yeah.
And the impression that we're getting is, I think there's some great moves going on the legislative front of changing the banking law. But we're definitely seeing technology coming into play around, within the states. And then from a straight PCI perspective, one of the things that we've explored or we've had a chance to talk with the Interchange Association about is that there's a concern of just, validity. Are these organizations good, stable organizations that they can do business with? And for those of you who are familiar with PCI compliance, it is a set of rules about, some audits, policies, procedures, making sure that they're organizations and they're protecting credit card information. So, we've been taking a very active role through what we do for a living, which happens to be PCI compliance, to helping especially the pharmacies or medical is clearly falls under HIPAA. And we see many of the the recreational organizations still pursuing this with the with the hope that as the law changes, this will make them more valid and that they'll be able to do business more fluidly.
Now, let me try to connect the dots, and I'm just a student in this area, okay? I'm right in the trenches learning with our viewers and readers. I'm looking at MJ Biz Daily, and an article from last week said the U.S. Senate committee will hear next week, which would be now, about banking challenges cannabis companies face. Key step towards possible marijuana reform, blah, blah, blah. We got, let's see, Jeff Merkley and Cory Gardner. That's interesting. A Democrat from Oregon, Republican from Colorado, two initial proponents of the Secure and Fair Enforcement or Safe Banking Act. Without getting into the weeds on that particular legislation, it seems like everything is interrelated to everything. I want to stay at 50,000 feet. Can you connect the dots between PCI, banking, what's going on in the Senate, that kind of thing? Help me understand what's going on.
So, in my opinion, right? So I don't get a chance to, I do not represent either official organization, but this is what we're seeing in a more practical perspective.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to do this. Okay, this is no longer a speculative business that was, questionable. This is, the majority, 27 of the states have now sided with this. The American population would like to see this get done. And it really revolves around the simplest of thing, which is just the classification as a stage 1 drug. As soon as it drops out of that classification, it no longer falls under the banking restrictions. And therefore, things like being able to take credit cards now become commercially viable, and there's no longer a barrier, right? Right now, what we're seeing is all of these, let's say, unique one-off situations to try to move money around in ways that are a little bit more efficient. But I do think, I think in the end, it's actually a very detrimental thing to the industry, because as it continues to be all cash, you're just opening all sorts of corruption and challenge. It's not easy to tax. It's not easy to track, theft issues, security issues. So the sooner that they get that legislation changed, I think it's going to, change it not just for the standard, how do you pay for it at the site, but it'll allow the many very substantive organizations that would like to be investing in this to have clear path into it.
Well, and I like what you said on the tax thing, because if you think back to prohibition, and again, what I've studied and read and seen, those people in the prohibition era with the the speakeasies and so on, they were primarily getting nailed on tax fraud and tax violation at the end of the day, right? And
well, listen,
boy,
government needs to get paid.
yeah, if we could clean that up. Hey, Mark, before we go, because you speak towards compliancy issues, I mean, clearly you have some domain expertise in the cannabis vertical, but certainly more of your time is spent in traditional industries. What are you're going to be at the CompTIA ChannelCon show in early August. I'll be there as well. And for some of our viewers who will be there, what are you speaking on, and do you have a booth?
Yes, we have a booth, so please, we'd love to have you come by. There's actually 2 sessions we're speaking on as the co-chair of the Business Application Advisory Council. We are officially speaking on a panel around the evolution of SaaS and SaaS verticals. So for folks that are either in a specific vertical or generally want to understand more of that industry, definitely come join us for that session. And then we have, it was very kind of CompTIA that we are one of the few organizations that have been granted our own private room.
I'm jealous.
It's so in that session, it will be just Compliancy Group. We'll be speaking specifically about how the lucrative opportunity for an MSP to get involved with, in general, compliance as a solution. And the words that we use that we think most help the average MSP get their hands around this, using compliance as a solution will double their revenue and triple their profits. So most of the time I speak as a subject matter expert, so I can't really, let's say I can't be bragging on how we can help it. But in that specific room, yes, I will be able to tell you exactly how we can help you. The panel, I'm strategic and subject matter expert, but if you come to that room and you'll see, I can give you the link to share with your members. We'd love to have you join us because I think it'll be a very lucrative experience for all parties that enter that room.
Well, please do, and keep up the good work. And sir, I will see you in Vegas, and then we'll circle back realistically after fishing season, after Labor Day. So thank you very much, Mark. And Ginny in the radio control room, thank you as always. Folks, have a great day. Stick with us here at the 420 MSP. Bye-bye.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.